Good afternoon, everybody. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And a very, very good afternoon, good morning, good evening. That's my tagline from wherever you are in the world. My name is Dr. Abdullah Muhammad Nawi, or sometimes known as Dr. A. In fact, known as Dr. A. And I'm coming to you live right now from my home studio in Johor, which is the same state as where the Connecting Asia headquarters is. And right now we are live in the final session for the AIC 2020, which is the Strategic Forum. And if you were present, we had the first session of the Strategic Forum at 2 o'clock, from 2 to almost 4, where we had a look at quite a few opinions and views on the way forward from during this COVID-19 situation. And it was a very interesting discussion, I do believe, because I was the panelist back then, but now flipping the tables and now I'm here. It was interesting because there were many angles to look at one single thing, and that's something which I realize is the beauty of having such cross-cultural, transdisciplinary collaboration of sorts, where we bring all sorts of insights into the table, and that's what we are doing here today. So this is the second session of the Strategic Forum and the final session for the AIC 2020. And joining us with me, we have 6 guest panelists. And I'm just going to go, first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say their names, and then after that, before they go on for their session, I will give a little blurb about them just to tell the audience on who they are. And one thing which I forgot to mention about me before this, you may be wondering who I am. I'm the Assistant Dean for External and Global Engagement for the Faculty of Social Sciences and Humanities in University Technology Malaysia, and I am also the president of the APRA Malaysia chapter. The APRA is the Association for Professional Researchers and Academicians, and Malaysia chapter is the main chapter here, of course, but then again we have the president of the Pakistan chapter, Dr. Imran, and we heard from the other presidents as well previously, Dr. Aliyu and Dr. Badar, and hopefully, inshallah, that the APRA will be a force to reckon with in the future. So let's move on to the first agenda of the day, and I would like to call upon a dear friend of mine here in UTM, somebody who I've worked with in many different occasions, somebody who I respect and admire, and just a little bit about her. I'm just going to pull up, just give me, okay. So the first guest that we have, the first panelist, is Professor Dr. Haniza Sarmin, otherwise known as Prof. Niza. There she is, the lovely lady who's waving there, and behind her is the background for UTM International. That's where she's attached. The UTM International is the international office, but she's more than that because first and foremost, she is a mathematician, and she keeps on telling me that. And every time we have a discussion, and I say, "Oh, I can't understand mathematics. I love language," she goes the other way around. Everything is mathematics to her. But just a bit more about her. She received her bachelor, MA and PhD in mathematics from the State University of New York in Binghamton, New York, and his specialization of research is in group theory, formal language theory, and splicing systems. And just a little bit more about her, she has written 500 research papers, 500 in national and international journals and proceedings, and she's also supervised and graduated 36 PhD students, 25 master students, and 83 undergraduates. And this includes the youngest PhD holder in the Malaysia Book of Records 2017, Dr. Hazira Mat Hasib. Wow, that's indeed a lot. That's briefly about Professor Niza. So, Prof. Niza, let's go on to your session. The floor is yours for about 8 to 10 minutes.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Dr. A, and good afternoon from Johor Bahru, Malaysia, and good morning there, afternoon, wherever you are. And thank you very much, Connecting Asia, for this opportunity to just share a little bit on our expertise on what we feel about this post-COVID. Let me share, and I'm really happy to see and panelists here. So I have a simple slide here that I would share. Can you see the slide?
Yes.
All right. Okay. So I'm going to talk about the beyond COVID-19, the shift in international higher education. So that the A mentioned about my post in UTM International as Associate Director in Global Strategy and Engagement. So I manage all the visitors, all the MOUs and so on for UTM. Let me just share a little bit. Each of us know about this COVID-19. So we had a talk before we start with Professor Klims about how COVID right now it's still high in the US, in the UK, even though in Malaysia, I'll show you later, we still have a very high case. And so suddenly the life changes and the migration, how we can manage our education, because this is very unprecedented and also a challenge to us. And it comes from this multiple dimension. And it somehow make us pause, but we had to move on for the essential services. We had to make it to more sense to us, to make sense, and how can we be innovative and proactive and to adapt to this. And as of actually 18 December, 2 days ago, this is the COVID cases in Malaysia, in which we have 90,000 plus confirmed cases and also 432 deaths. But the A, excuse me, because I have to have numbers in here. But as we can see that this is not an ending story yet. We still have like higher and higher cases now, even in Malaysia. So this has impact all aspects of society. Students out of school, 1.6 billion students in education is out of school. We need the clean energy transition for this investment, this much. And the poverty, we have more than 135 million people pushed into poverty by 2030. So what do we do for this impact of COVID-19 on global education? Number of learners impacted by national school closures, it's 1.38 billion. 1.38 billion students have been impacted. That is in Malay. Sekolah ditutup hari ini means the school is closed. So the school has been closed in Malaysia and it's open probably just a few weeks or months for those having exam. But right now, the whole year they have been working or having classes online. In response of in the COVID-19 higher education, before I move on, let me just share a little bit about our UTM facts and figures. We have more than 20,000 students in UTM, 14,000 plus undergraduate students, and more to 9,000 postgraduate students. They're taking classes, they're doing research, and we have 1,400 academic staff. And in the 7 faculties, we also have 4,000 plus international students coming in from almost 80 countries. We're having students going abroad in mobility, outbound and also inbound. We have been doing very actively, and 2019 towards the end is one of the most time that we are very, very active. And then come 2020. So the first case of this COVID started in 25th of January when there is imported case. And as I mentioned, in the current situation, you can see that many cases in the whole 13 states of Malaysia. And the worst is in Sabah, and now it's in Selangor or the Klang Valley, Kuala Lumpur, and so on. Although in Malaysia, we already have preventive measures starting from the very first phase of movement control order starting on 18th of March. That was like 7 months, 9 months ago. up until now, we are in the 8th phase, and it's until the end of the year, 31st of December. And UTM has full-time online learning, all online starting 1st of April of 2020. And this is actually my class, face-to-face versus online learning. So in today's higher education, we know that futuristic trends are already emerging. And also, this has been accelerated by the pandemic. I never had my class online before or fully online before. I had it physical. I had undergraduate students in the class. And starting on 1st of April, suddenly in 2 weeks, we have to move totally online. And what do we have to do? We have remote, and we have also virtual working environment. And how to manage this? How do UTM manage this? These students suddenly have to go back home or stay in UTM, and suddenly they cannot come to class. And UTM has started the online learning implementation with these 3 alternatives. We can do asynchronous online learning, no live materials, we can record the video. We can do also synchronized online learning, where we have live session, or we can also do the third alternative, which is task-based online learning. And how do we do this? Within those month of April, we have had these guidelines. We came up with a guideline. We have online training for lecturers, 39 of them. We have 2,000 lectures attended online training for that only particular month, and also video tutorials and online learning session by lecturers and also students. They're not used to having WebEx and Zoom and so on. And anyway, we have these virtual learning resources at UTM. We have blended learning. We have been doing this, although not 100%, but we have OCW, we call it UTM Open Courseware, and we have massive open online courses that we have in UTM. So this in part is helping us with managing the students. UTM virtual learning space that we have has been used before, mixed and blended with the physical, but since April, we have been doing this e-learning.utm.my. This is actually the e-learning for my class. I'm teaching master's class this semester. So it's called Group Theory 1. So my students are all over the world, in Afghanistan, in Iraq, in Libya. So we put in, my class is synchronous, and it's through Zoom, so I can see all the students' face. There are not that many of them, a dozen of them. So we blend in classes and then put assignment in there, and this is how we manage and making sure the students have enough internet. But we do have common issues of online teaching and learning. How the lecturers adapt and struggle with doing this all online, especially a mathematician. How do you actually show all the calculations? So what I use still the whiteboard. What about the computer literacy? What about our lecturers who are not used to doing this video recording? What about all the technical issues? What about the internet? And time management of all the academic staff, they have to stay at home with the kids and so on. And self-motivation even for the staff and the students. So these are what we have to manage. And UTM gave a survey on online learning, and 98% of courses have successfully implemented online learning in the first 2 weeks of April. And 78 courses were run synchronously, while the rest were run asynchronously. And what kind of online teaching tools that we have for UTM? So the number one, because some students have a problem with internet, so we use WhatsApp. E-learning that I mentioned earlier, we also have a WebEx. WebEx account is given to all academic staff in UTM. Zoom, so many offices, they start using Zoom for classes. Big Blue Button. YouTube, so they can do all classes and streaming, live streaming. Google Meet, Telegram, and FB Live. Facebook Live is one of the best to me, because last semester I was teaching through Facebook Live. Students can go through recorded one, and they can do it even if the internet is low. As I mentioned earlier, that we have been doing very actively in sending our students inbound and outbound mobility, but we have to stop because there's no traveling. So we had to come up with something to cover this. So we do this called online global classroom. So we started with, we have this alliance called ATUNet, Asia Technological University Network, which is very active in doing this inbound online global classroom. So even Dr. A, the assistant dean in the external and global engagement in the faculty, they all also have their own OGC in their faculty. We also send our students to go abroad, but virtually. So we've been very active this way. This is just to show that even though we are online, we can do it virtually. 30 students from 6 institutions from all over the world, 4 countries. So we do this very active activity for 2 weeks. They talk, they do global talk, they do presentation, they do quizzes, and they manage to meet virtually with each other. And how do we do this? Going to international conference since we cannot travel. So I attended this QS Apple on 25th to 27 November 2020. It was supposed to be in Perth, Australia, but then it goes virtual. So probably something that we can do even after the pandemic is over, hopefully soon, to have these virtual conferences like the Connecting Asia. You have been doing it very successfully this year. This is the situation that you can have a booth, a virtual booth there. So you just click and then you can go to that room, you can go to that room, you can go to the booth, you can meet people, and you can go to the plenary session, you can do this chatting and the chat box, and you even have all these different kind of booths. So you probably can do it for poster presentation. And also, I was just doing it from my office. No need to travel. And we have been doing also this University President Forum where we invite all the presidents from so many partners, universities around the world. But for the first time, we did this virtually. We have managed to invite some speakers, and then we have more than 7,000 viewers, and we can do it. We have done this 3 times this year with this Asia Technology University Network.
Okay, Prof. Niza, please wrap up. Thank you.
Yeah, this is my last slide. Next one, Dr. A. Thank you. Just some sharing. Back to you, Doctor.
All right. Thank you very much. Just pop down to the last slide. Thank you very much, Prof. Niza, for a very informative session. And if any of you were watching the previous session, this is something that I talked about just before this, but it was more on a faculty level of the things that we were doing there. And Prof. Niza is expanding the scope up to what we're doing in UTM as a whole. Thank you once more, Prof. Niza, for a very informative talk. The next question is for Professor Niza. Prof. Niza, the question is, do you think that academic activities will normalize in 2021? If not, then are we, if not, we are ready to carry COVID. If not, then we are ready to if not, then we are ready to carry COVID with us in next year. I'm not sure what that means, the second one, but let's answer the first part. Do you think that academic activities will normalize in 2021?
Thank you for the question. I believe normalize probably means that are we going back to normal for next year? For now, it's still uncertain. As you can see, the case is still high. So talking about the whole year of 2021, probably we are anticipating that there will be no travel until probably the first, we don't know yet about the vaccine, whether it will work or not, but targeting probably until middle of next year. We're hoping that we are waiting whether the ministry will say whether we can travel or the student can come back. But in the meantime, we are all ready. If it's like back to normal in the sense that people can travel, yes, we'll go back to normal, but the online classes will go on as of now. And if say everything is okay, then if students are still not really sure, the online is there, the online classes, and we have started also students like the research students doing it remotely, so they are back in their country. And just if I don't want to say this, but since it's mentioned that COVID is with us or carried to us, even if it's the whole year, then we are ready to do it online, although it's not the same as physical. But I guess this is what we have to accept, and we hope for the best. But for now, we are here with the online teaching and learning. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. Nizar. And I think this is the same for every institution in the whole world. Everyone's just waiting to see first and just see what happens, getting small batches of the vaccine and see what happens. So everything is see what happens. So we'll see what happens from here. Thank you very much, Prof. Nizar.